Hey, and thank you for tuning in. Today's presentation is going to be really interesting because we're going to talk about AI and big data in the real world. I'll be talking about some of the examples that we can see that can actually help you increase your customer success immediately. And stay on, and I'll give you a few examples on how you can get started without breaking the bank, but also in a very, very simple manner, allowing you to get started basically overnight. So here we go. First, I'd like to talk about AI. Everything is AI, Gen AI agents. But when we look at it, not too many companies have really gotten the effects out of AI as they expected. So let's briefly touch upon this. I then have a problem where AI was and is the solution that I'd like to give you as a use case. And following that use case, we'll talk about how artificial intelligence very, very successfully can be used to structure unstructured data for your reporting, for your decision support and decision making and so forth. The foundation for all artificial intelligence is, of course, data. And many organizations today, they're saying, well, data is not good enough, high enough quality, so we'll wait and see. Well, if you start thinking about the concept of master data management and you understand that, you will also understand that there is a way of getting started again without having to wait. So I'll briefly touch upon the concept of master data management. And then at the end of this presentation, I'll give you some tips and tricks to how you can get started with AI in the real world without, as I said, breaking the bank or having to change everything that you're working with in IT or your processes. Now, I've been in the insurance industry for basically all of my life. I've always been working with business development and business transformation. And it's only natural that the last 5-7 years I've been heavily involved in big data and large language models and artificial intelligence. I am Deputy CEO of eData Information Management, and we generally have 3 major product offerings. We are focused almost exclusively on the insurance industry, where we are supporting with the big data for underwriting, for pricing, especially for cars. We are supporting with AI, very advanced AI solutions for claims management, claims cost reductions, claims automations. And then we are also working with AI agents and AI implementations in general. We are in 4 countries, and as you can see behind me there, we have the privilege of working with the significant part of all insurers here in the GCC. Now, let's look at AI. And I really like to say that there is so much talk about artificial intelligence, large language models, everything AI. And people are concerned about their jobs, concerned about the future. But before we get started, I would like to give you my perspective on job security in the world of AI. I don't believe that AI will take our jobs, but I'm absolutely certain that the people who know how to use AI and works diligently with AI, they will. So you must make sure that you know enough about AI to apply it on your everyday work. Today, if you're looking at where AI is being used in companies, that there are predominantly 4 areas. It is in customer servicing, which is some of the things we'll be talking about today. It is in the operations for operational efficiencies. AI is also used for financial modeling and financial forecasting. And then it is not so talked about, but it is heavily being used for coding and programming and development. And one of the parts that I think is underutilized, at least in the insurance industry, is the ability of AI to actually traverse through legacy system coding and document the codes, reducing the technical debt, making it faster for the IT departments to deploy new systems. But these are the primary use cases. Now, when you start looking at how companies or corporates, they use AI or they have installed AI, 70% approximately say, yeah, we are working with AI, but if you double click on what they're working with, how they're working, boils down to very simple use cases. We use ChatGPT for idea generation, for document summaries. We have robotics process automation to automate our workflows, which, by the way, is not an AI, but it is still being measured as AI. So many people falsely believe that RPA is AI, but it isn't. Few people are using AI for workflow automation in this 70%, and then individuals are using it to create coding faster. If you look at the more advanced use cases, only 20% of the companies, and in average, are using AI for process optimization, advanced decision making, large-scale development, and financial modeling. So there's still a long way for AI to go in order for it to be truly adopted. And I think one of the reasons is that there's so much hype about it, and we're talking about AI strategies. We're talking about we need to do something AI, but to me it is like we're having a solution that's looking for a problem. AI in my world, it's tools, and tools you use when you have a defined problem. If you have a hammer, then you'll likely use it to drive in nails in the wall. And if you have a screwdriver, you'll go looking for screws. But if you don't have any nails, but you have a hammer, then what can you use it for? And this is why I think when we are talking about AI, we probably have to take another angle to look at it. And of course, then there is a series of organizational issues also that hinders the adoption. And I just briefly touched upon them. AI is expensive, or it can be, especially when we listen to the professionals talking about how AI is going to change the world and the organizations. Then you will always read about AI has to be built on a completely perfect data set. It has to be built on new structures, new processes. It has to be built with new systems. And all of this is very expensive. And we're not even certain we'll get adequate return. That alone holds a lot of AI initiatives. AI is also seen as requiring changes to legacy IT systems. And those of you who are working with legacy IT systems, you know that is difficult. That takes time. It has to be prioritized in the list of other change requests and developments for the IT system. So it also becomes expensive and time consuming, and therefore we will be looking at AI later. Within the organizations, you will also have bureaucracy. You will have cultural resistance against this AI back, so that many people are worried that AI will actually take their jobs. So when we are talking about AI, we also have a tendency to say, okay, let's not do it now because I'm worried about I'm not capable enough to work with it, and therefore I lose my job. And this is another reason that you see AI is not being broadly adopted. Organizations, the fewest organizations have the real capabilities and experience within the existing people to get this up and running, which means that you have to hire outside people, and then it starts becoming expensive again. And you have the discussion about, do we even think we'll get the adequate return out of it? The last one, but definitely not the least one, are concerns about the data quality and compliance concerns. If we start using AI, how do we know that it's using the data in an ethical way, and concerns like this? So there are a lot of valid reasons that AI has not been as widely adopted as we'd like to think. Now, I'd like to show you, a really, really interesting approach to artificial intelligence in customer service. And it's interesting because it is a 3-step approach that started or began with a very cheap, very simple way of easing some existing problems within the contact center. And based on this, based on the success, based on the proof that it's working, this project was then taken to the next step. And based on that success, it is now taken to the last step. I think this is the right way of working with AI. Find a problem, of course, in your organization, a pain point, and then gradually build your AI solutions out on it. It's perfectly fine to have a North Star saying this is what we are aiming towards at the end of the day, but let's start slowly and cheaply and show the organization, show ourselves that this actually works. Now, the point of departure here was a contact center with an exceptionally high turnaround of the employees. The average employee stayed with this contact center for 8 months, which means in effect that at any given time, everybody in the contact center were new. And of course, this meant that the most agents, if not all, would still be in a training cycle, and they would therefore have limited knowledge about the products and services that the company was offering. So when customers were calling, they would not necessarily give them the right information, or they would take a long time to find the information, which aggravated the customers. At some point in time, when the customers get annoyed enough, the agent would create a ticket, and that ticket would be sent into the system to somebody else to take care of, which meant that the customer then likely would have to call back and ask, where's my case, where's my answer, and create a lot of extra work. And that increased, at the end of the day, that meant that this contact center had a high rate of repeat calls and complaints. Now, the first step and the first pain point here was that customer service agents did not have the adequate knowledge of the products and services. The solution here, a US $20 per month chatbot, artificial intelligence-driven chatbot. This chatbot was trained in all publicly available documents to avoid data privacy and these kind of issues, all publicly available documents from the websites, terms and conditions, everything that theoretically everybody could get from the company. So we didn't have any concerns about data privacy. Now, when a customer called, the customer service agent would then enter the question the customer was asking into this chatbot, and the chatbot is providing the correct answer immediately, which then in turn the customer service agent will be giving to the customer. The result from this, an immediate drop in number of repeat calls, immediate drop in complaints, immediate drop in the average time to closure for each mobile call. And this is step number one. Now you have an AI chatbot that is $20 per month that has this kind of impact. You go to your management, you go to the board of directors or whoever, say, now, see, this is working, let's go to the next step. The next step, and bear in mind here, we are still not integrating with the legacy systems. Even with the next step where we are integrating with the company's phone systems and applying a speech-to-text bot. So now the AI agent was listening in on the calls, understanding what the caller was talking about, and then immediately providing the answers on the screen for the customer service agent to read aloud. Much faster and much more comprehensive. But that's one thing. But the most important thing here was that because we did this, then everything that the customer was saying was being analyzed. So we could now create a sentiment, a daily, even by the hour sentiment of the customers. So the CEO or the C-level could log on and say, how's the temperature amongst our customers today? And get an immediate update about what is concerning the customers, what are the problems, what are they happy for. Everything, unstructured data turned into structured data that could be used for reporting and everything by the CEO. And then the last step is, of course, taking it the full way, where we're saying, okay, now we have the knowledge base, and we understand the sentiment of our customers, and we know it's working. So now let's allow this system to have the first line of defense, the first call with the customers, which is now where we had to integrate into the legacy systems. But bear in mind here, we have a long proven track record of successes. The first very cheap, the next one not so very cheap, but very effective. And now we're saying, okay, you see it works, and we have clear benefits out of it. So now we would like to connect to our legacy system. So when the customer is calling, we actually already know the claims history or the history of this customer, and would be able to talk with the customer, maybe even with no need to transfer the call to a live human. And this is a fantastic example in my world on how you get started and gradually build from a very simple solution to something that is significantly more complex. But you learn as you go. You even bring your team of employees with you, so they also learn. They have the competences to work with this. And I believe this is the way forward for the more advanced introduction of AI in companies. Now let's just dive into for a few seconds the concept of AI agents, because I'd like to just explain to you how that works and how it works to take unstructured data into structured data. The example is not this specific case, but a similar example where we're working with customer sentiments. And the agents here are traversing all websites, social media websites, to understand customer sentiments and then categorize and group the sentiment and present reporting out of it. It looks something like this. Now, in this case, you have the starting agent, so to speak, the master agent, who takes in the business, the industry that you work in, the region or the country you're working in, and select industry players. And this is kind of the kickoff. You then have a various set of agents. One agent who identify the players or maybe other players in the region. You have a second agent taking over, and these are large language models, of course. They're called agents because they work in tandem with specific tasks, using the large language model as you know it from ChatGPT and Perplexity. But this is one of everything. So the first agent is tasked by identifying the players, given the brief. The second agent is understanding the lingo, how we speak, what terms that you're using in that industry to better do the sentiment. Now, agent number 3 is searching the relevant sites for customer sentiments, and then you start reading the customer sentiments, and agent number 4 will then sort and structure and categorize all the sentiments. So at the end of the day, you have a very advanced and very searchable report. You have a large data set that you can talk to. So you can, in layman language, saying, how are my customers feeling today? And you will get a sentiment out of it. I'll just give you an example on how it looks for a set of agents that we ran from the insurance industry in the UAE. And it might not be the most uplifting image to show, but this is how it is. This is performed by a company called ClueTrack on more than 15,000 different sentiments. And what happened here was, again, the agents were told to go to the insurance industry, look at the key players in the industry, and then it would traverse all the sentiments from customers. And once completed with getting all the sentiments, it would then take the data, the unstructured data, and turn it into this structure, as you can see. So it has, I cannot count, but there's 20 different categories that the agent has defined. We did not define these categories, but based on the sentiments, the agent would they say, okay, we have one sentiment around staff and behavior. We have one sentiment about reporting, about claims management, accidents, payments, and all these things. And then it would rate negative sentiments, neutral sentiments, and positive sentiments. And this is for me a fantastic example on how these agents work on taking unstructured data, which is everybody's comments about all insurance companies in the UA, and structure it into something that you can see here. And we can't do this without data, of course. Now, in this case, the data was completely unstructured and nothing to do with the company we were working for. So I guess this was an example of how your unstructured data could be working. If you're looking at how you're going to work with your own data, well, then you have an issue. I would say most companies have an issue that data is not readily available. They're not in the quality that we would like, and we might not even know where the most correct data version is. And this is where the concept of master data management comes in. It has earlier been a belief that you need a data warehouse or one big database where you have the true data, and then all the data that you get from various data sources in your organization is being fed in there, stored there. And that's fine for some kinds of data that you need to do very heavy analytics on. But if you look at the number of data sources, if you look at the explosion of data being made available every day in different places in the organization, the idea of having everything in one database, it doesn't work anymore. The data is moving too fast. The world is changing too fast. There's too many new data sources coming out. So you need another concept, because the problem here is that if you have me as a person, you might have my mobile number in 7 different databases and my address in 5 different databases, and the products are bought in 2 different databases. So how do you get a a truthful view of me as Frederik. And this is where the concept of master data management come in. Master data management is working with the concept of a golden record. A golden record is the unified data source, is the pointer to where you can find the single source of truth for a specific field. So a golden record could be a customer, it could be a product, it could be an insurance policy or a claim. And then let's just stick with the customer. So a golden record for a customer has pointers to where the different sources of truth for the customer is. So let me just show you. I hope this gives a little idea. Now here you have 4 different databases with basically the same customer. And what the golden record does is pinpointing that the given name, John here, is in database number 1, the top one. The last name, for some reason, is in the last database. Street number is in another database. Main Street is in the same, and so forth. So the golden record is pointing to that single piece of truth where that information is stored. And that also means if I call in, I want to change my mobile number, then through the master data management, through the golden record, it is clear that the phone number can only and should only be changed in the 4th database in this example. And this is a way of making sure that you actually have a single source of truth for your products, your customers, your claims, your policy, or whatever it is that you're working with. And of course, this is the right way of getting started, but it's not that easy just to get started with master data management, because you have your data silos, you have almost guaranteed data quality issues. And the textbook answer to fix this is of course what I've been writing here on the right side. Define the master data, make sure that you know which entities you're working with, customers, policies, claims, branches, warehouses, whatever it is. Make sure that you establish a data governance, so you're not allowed to change fields, you're not allowed to change certain data in the system without it's been approved by either AI or people, to make sure that the data is as good as possible. Integrate the data sources through the golden record, and then on a consistent basis ensure data quality. And that's fine. And this is the right way of doing it. But this is also one of the reasons that we don't get as far ahead with AI as we want, right? So there has to be a way in between, and there is a way in between. This is the end point, and we should all aim towards this, but this is also a multi-year project, and we can't let the ones who are actually working with AI get so much ahead of us while we're waiting for this. So there has to be a way in between. And this is the last thing I would like to talk about. How do we get started with this? The simple answer is identify pain points and find AI solutions for each pain point. And it's easy for me to say, but let me just explain what I mean, because it's not that complex, and it is actually as simple. I hope I makes it sound simple, but it is simple. It is simple. The first step is to understand the value chains that you have in your organization. And in every organization, of course, you can argue from a theoretical point of view that you have one value chain in an organization, but I like to think that each significant business unit has their own value chain. So you have a distribution value chain, customer service value chain, operations value chain, finance, and so forth. You could also call it your high-level processes for each of these areas. Now, write those down, identify them, and I'm pretty sure if you know your organization just fairly well, when you write these value chains or high-level processes down, you already know or have an idea of where you have the most pain points in that process. Start there. Gather the teams working with these value chains, one team per value chain. So don't get all of them into one room in one time, but start with, I'm saying, customer service value chain. Then get your customer service stakeholders in a room. Talk to them. Brainstorm. Say, go through point by point by point in the process and talk to them and identify pain points. And pain points could be repetitive tasks. It could be document management. It could be contracts or legal issues where at least the first line of defense would need to understand what this is all about before it's directed to another part of the organization. could be compliance, market research, marketing, and so forth. Write the pain points down. And I guarantee you, when you do this, you will find a lot of quick wins that have nothing to do with AI, but just when you start talking, you'll say, why are we doing this? And then nobody can give you an answer why you're doing it. So you can stop doing it and thereby generating some enthusiasm for this project as well. So write down the pain points. Now, when you're done with this, then do research on standard AI solutions. And I mean standard AI solutions, preferably AI solutions that don't need integration with existing systems. I'll give you a lot of examples on the next slide. And find these non-intrusive solutions that are not too expensive and plan when we start. Focus on the non-intrusives. Work with identify the most enthusiastic people in the organization from the brainstorms that you've had. Start with them. Demonstrate that it works. Celebrate, move on to the next, demonstrate that works, celebrate, move on to the next, and all of a sudden you are starting to become, yes, a simple but AI-driven organization. And this is what's going to release the larger projects and funding for the larger projects. There are a lot of readily available AI agents. I'll just give you some examples here, and there are thousands. There are thousands. But if you don't know what you're looking for, any role will take you there, right? So you need to have identified your pain points first. One pain point here, for example, could be that your customers are so diverse that when you do marketing campaigns or new product development, it's very difficult for you to understand how the customers will receive this product once it's launched. Then you find a digital twin agent where you describe the product, you describe your marketing initiatives, and then this agent is running everything that you said through a representation of the digital twins of the personas that you have in your organization, and so forth. So, but find the pain points first, and then go look for these ready-made AI agents. These are not super expensive. This can be anything from $5,000 to $10,000 to get one of these up and running, and that money will make itself back home really, really fast, and then you will be able to go to the next agent and the next agent. And this is for me. This is the magic way. This is the magic way of getting started. So for me, it is all about starting. It's all about getting started. And just to recap, don't worry too much about data and data quality. Bear in mind that what we're talking about here with these simple AI agents is they're not intrusive, so they might not even be using too much of your existing data. So if you have big problems with data, then find the agents or pain points that don't require connectivity with existing data. Find the pain points with simple solutions, and there will be many. Begin with it and build on the successes. And that's all I have to say. I did run this presentation through ChatGPT and asked what questions would you have after this presentation, and it came up with three that I thought make really sense, right? So let me just briefly run all these questions. Number one, how do we ensure data privacy and compliance when implemented AI? Long answer to a short question. For now, I would say if you're working with these non-intrusive agents, then they will be working on a very defined set of data, and you can clearly control exactly what access they will have to the data or what data they will not have. These agents can be confined, so you can only work in this space. So in the beginning, it's not an issue. When you start with the bigger projects, you have to make compliance and ethical considerations part of the project. But at that point in time, you will already have proven that you have an AI solutions that are working, and the organization will be ready to talk. Question number two, what are some quick wins we can achieve with AI to demonstrate its value? Identify the pain points. Find the simple solutions to eliminate or reduce the pain points. Quick wins, not expensive, almost immediate payback. And how do we measure the success of AI implementation? Well, it comes back to units per time, something like this, right? Now, in the call center example, it was how many calls could an agent handle per day? That increased because the average call time reduced. How many repeat calls did we have? It reduced significantly. How many complaints did we have? Reducing significantly. So look at the process and what are the units that are running in that process. Is it number of insurance policies per day? It is number of calls per day. It is number of financial transactions per day. And this is your starting point. Do the base case before you do the AI implementation. And after you've done it, do it again and say, okay, how much have we improved? And that's a very clear way of measuring the success of your AI implementation. Thanks for staying with me so far and so long. I hope you enjoyed, and you know how to get me for any questions and comments. Thank you so much.